Good evening, ladies and germs.
Good germs.
You never heard me say that before?
No.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Scott Cleverton.
My name is Assumpta Serna.
And tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not actually going to be reviewing demo reels, show reels, video books, as we like to call them on this side of the pond. No, we're going to be actually looking at some real old-fashioned audition tapes.
Exactly. And it's why they got the job.
Yeah, pretty much. So this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I almost did it last week, but Assumpta was off shooting a movie somewhere. How are you doing today?
It's fine. Don't worry about this. They just made me sleep for about an hour.
It wasn't that long, actually.
No?
No, it must have been 20 minutes.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, she's alive.
Yes.
For now. So, this is something that I wanted to do for a long time because it's something that comes up every once in a while, which is exactly how on earth did they get the job, these people? And there's various different things we're going to look at tonight. I'm not sure whether we're going to have enough time to actually see them all. Thanks, Crystal, for being here. It's always lovely to see you. Hi there. And Saskia, very good. I'll speak to you after this is all said and done, because we've got to work together. So one of the things that we've always found fascinating is to have a look at those successful auditions and try and work out what it is exactly that they brought to the table that was so different that resulted in them getting the job. And why are we interested in this? Well, we're always been fascinated by this because is
the reason of être. It's the reason that we
it's
are...
the reason of être?
Of to be, yes, is the reason that, how to get jobs, right? So it's very interesting. I think today you have found a very nice topic, and I hope we're going to enjoy it in this hour that we have until 9 p.m.
Rodrigo says, I'm curious of your take on Daisy Ridley's Star Wars tape. I saw that. I didn't include it, but maybe we can do that another day. That's where she does a lot of screaming and crying, if I remember correctly. Poor Daisy. She's obviously, when you see the first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, she really doesn't know what she's doing. She really doesn't know what she's doing. And it's very interesting because if we've got time, we're going to look at Aaron Paul's audition tape for Breaking Bad, which is sort of interesting because Aaron Paul, if you remember the first season of Breaking Bad, he did a little more than spend his entire time getting his ass kicked by all the other actors because he's surrounded by extremely experienced actors. And Dean Norris, who we also have his audition tape for Breaking Bad, is incredibly competent, incredibly experienced, and I'm sure incredibly intimidating. As he went on, I think Aaron Paul got some good tips from all those around him, and I think Bryan Cranston took him under his wing because you can see a real change in his acting. Although I think by the time he made his own little movie on Netflix, he sort of leaned a little bit too hard into everything's got to be torturous and traumatic, and it became a little bit like the Aaron Paul therapy session, which is a shame because I think he's a fine and very effective actor when he puts his mind to it. But
so I don't think we have to do the magic. I think we started from there, and we can keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay, so let's just do the thing, shall we?
Yes.
All right. So who would you like to see first?
I think you have like kind of a themes, no? I mean, you have the people from. I think you have two people from the same movie. So
from the same TV show, Breaking Bad.
From the same TV show. So let's see that first.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Dean Norris and Aaron Paul, which are two interesting cases. Let me just go over here. Let me see who I have loaded up first. Oh no! You see? There you go. There they go. It's a bit of a spoiler for what we're going to do afterwards, because that's young Robert Downey Jr.
Let's start from there. It doesn't matter.
You want to start from Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, you have it already set up.
Okay,
Sorry,
well, everybody almost out there almost already knows this story.
I love him. Sorry.
Yeah, well, not everybody loved him. Remember, he spent time in jail.
Yes, true.
In real proper prison, rehab prison. He was there for a year in an orange jumpsuit. Remember that he managed to systematically destroy his career through addiction, and petty criminality, to the extent where if you wanted him in your movie, you couldn't get your movie insured
because he was in.
Well, yeah, because you weren't sure whether he was going to whether he was really going to do it, whether he was really going to turn up on the day.
Yes, that we have to be very, very careful, because if not, we're going to ruin our own lives and the others. It's like when we say, in Spanish, be majete, be a nice person, is more important actually than what you do. You can ruin your career by really being an asshole. So anyway, he reinvented himself, and that is exactly in the period where he was proving that he was absolutely sober and fun to work with. And it's an interesting, turning point of his life and his career.
The other thing is, Robert Downey Jr. did a film before this with Val Kilmer called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I highly recommend everybody should see. It's a kind of rather chaotic film. It's a little bit like The Good Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. It has that same kind of wandering peculiarity, fast-talking, incredibly mercurial wit that he has there, and you can see it's very often been considered as sort of like the part of the audition for playing Tony Stark. The other issue is that sometimes every once in a while there'll come along a role for an actor that is the exact parallel of the character's arc is exactly the same as the actors in many ways. Because what you have is in Tony Stark, you have a character who is an arrogant asshole. However, he's charming as all hell. Why is he charming as all hell? Because he's smarter than you are. He's funnier than you are. And it doesn't matter how much you hate him, it's not going to bother him too much.
And also he wants to do good.
Well, he eventually wants to do good, but he wants to do good because he's discovered he ends up where he is because of one of his own weapons. And he realizes what he's actually done. And you could actually parallel the journey of Tony Stark as the journey of Robert Downey Jr., who went from a self-indulgent, arrogant asshole to somebody who became the most important and vital part of an entire massive juggernaut of a movie franchise. Because without Iron Man, there would be no Marvel movies. There'd be no Avengers. There'd be no anything else. The other thing is that Robert Downey Jr. talks about this as a sort of Hail Mary in terms of his career. That he said when he did this, he is an easily distracted person, but in this particular case, he realized he had to put absolutely everything into this one. And there's certain moments here where we're going to discover exactly what it is that Robert Downey Jr. brings to it.
And of course, here was the moment that he had to demonstrate that he could do the role. I mean, it was not really, someone that was very famous, but he had to fight against all his built reputation that he had. So it's interesting to see it for the both sides. How he actually manages to be sure of himself and wanting and not wanting at the same time. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a look at this. We might jump around a little bit because it's not entirely relevant, and it's very dark. So, okay. So here we go.
Mr. Stark, you have been described by some as a Da Vinci for our time. What do you have to say about that?
Da Vinci, ridiculous. I don't paint.
Oh, and what do you have to say about the fact that Stark Weapons is responsible for millions of deaths since World War II?
Oh, boy, let me guess. Berkeley? Ms.?
Miss Summer, and it's Brown.
Okay. Well, listen, Ms. Brown. It's an imperfect world, but it's the only one we've got. I assure you the day weapons are no longer needed to keep the peace. I'll happily transist to manufacturing bricks and beams for baby hospitals, making hemp pants and the like, but until that time, can I get you a drink?
You rehearse that much?
Yeah, every night in front of the mirror before bed. Why, is it stale?
Well, I can picture that.
I could show you firsthand.
Sorry, I don't laugh at your jokes. I haven't been paid to like all the DOD fat cats in this place, Mr.
Sorry,
Stark.
stick around. You'll be on payroll soon enough. Call me Tony.
I'm sorry,
Right.
Tony.
That's the first thing I want to point out there. Now, I've watched this a few times, And he gives us something which is not in the script, I'm sure, because you'd be crazy to write it. When he says his name, he is hiding his shame. Okay? Now, okay, Robert Downey Jr. He was nominated for an Oscar for the Richard Attenborough film. Chaplin, he'd been as far as you could go. He could have been the biggest movie star in the world, and he messed it up. Okay? If you said to Robert Downey Jr. back in the day, so Robert Downey Jr., he would realize how toxic that name is, just in the same way that Tony Stark is a toxic name. And so we have the parallel here. Let's watch that tiny little moment again, and I'm hoping that neither YouTube nor Facebook cuts us off. I don't think this is copyrighted material to a great degree, but if you lose us, that's why. So let me just show you. When he says his name, he has a relationship with his own name.
I haven't been paid to like all the DOD fat cats in this place, Mr. Stark.
Serna, stick around. You'll be on payroll soon enough. Call me Tony.
I'm sorry, Tony.
You see it?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You see that? That is a man who is ashamed of who he is. Now, you got an actor going, well, how do I do that? How do I say Tony Stark? No, the trick is to hide it from her and share it with us.
Mm-hmm. He does it beautifully.
That's the trick.
I wanted also, I mean, we watch it all the time because I want also to start from the beginning to review it. But anyway,
okay.
We see it all together and then we.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried about being.
I understand.
Being cut off. Okay, so let's just watch that a little bit again because it's so good. Sorry.
What time can I get you a drink?
You rehearse that much?
Yeah, every night in front of the mirror before bed. Why, is it stale?
Well, I can picture that.
I could show you firsthand.
Sorry, I don't laugh at your jokes. I haven't been paid to like all the DOD fat cats in this place, Mr. Stark.
Serna, stick around. You'll be on payroll soon enough. Call me Tony.
I'm sorry, Tony. I was looking for a more serious answer.
Okay, you're serious. My old man had a philosophy. Peace by definition means having a bigger stick than the other guy, so I feed the good dog. We arm the good guys because you can be sure as shit someone's arming the bad guys.
Nice justification coming from the guy selling the sticks.
You mean my father? My father, who was commended by FDR for working on the Manhattan Project, who helped defeat the Nazis?
Well, others call it war profiteering.
This is a rhetorical question, no need for a response. Tell me, do you plan to run any pictures of all the millions that we've saved by advancing medical technology or kept from starvation with our telecrops? Or are you going to ignore all those advances that were spawned from military funding?
Wow. Wow, you really have all of this down. You ever lose an hour of sleep your whole life?
I gotta tell you, is that thing wrong? You're never gonna get me in the sack with that attitude. Crudité?
Well, they made them laugh. He made them laugh.
The other thing is, which is very, very important, is he's a bad man. Mm-hmm. He's the man that your mother warned you to stay away. He's the man that your father will buy a shovel after he meets him, you know, and that's kind of what he has to be. It's a very interesting mythical space that he's occupying, which is he is, without knowing it, he is a warrior who is about to sheath or put away his sword, as it were. But he has to be dangerous. That's what he has to be. And there, in that moment, he becomes the man that men want to be like, and the man that women want to be with. I'm terribly sorry if that's like a scathingly sort of generalistic piece of sexism from my part, but I can't get away from the fact that that's why he's so dashing there.
Let's start from the beginning, because what I want to show you is that as an actor, you know, because that's you know, most of our audience is an actor, are actors. So it's nice to see what an actor does to, at the beginning, to actually enter into the character. First of all, one has to believe on the situation, you know. I mean, there is nothing worse than a casting as we know. We cannot believe anything. We are judged for everybody. But how we can get this truth? Well, first of all, we have to be convinced where we are. So what he does, which is very interesting, is just, he kind of allows surprise that, that she surprises himself, and how he walks with a lot of decision into this, into the first take, into the the actual scene, is very interesting because he just decides to just be interrupted. If not, he would just be continuing. Will keep just going on. It's interesting. So it's this attitude, this kind of decision that he has, that also is a good thing for the actor who has to give him the lines, which, by the way, she's very good. She's great. She's great, actually.
She's great, and having difficulty resisting him.
Yes, both. So let's see what he does, because the way that he walks and after action is very interesting.
Oh, Mr. Stark, you have been described by some as a Da Vinci for our time. What do you have to say about that?
Da Vinci.
And he checks her out.
Yeah.
He checks her out.
He checks her out, yes, of course.
He looks at her.
Yes, he acknowledges that he's there. He starts, very good in the sense that he listens.
No, he also does. He also does this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean he puts things on the table. He puts his truth. He puts his, and because he has to be a seductor and a charmer, that's the first thing he does. So he already, puts himself as a character with the attitude, with the way that he walks, with not wanting to see in the same direction that the woman is going to be appearing, that the actress is going to be appearing. So he puts himself in an imagination, in imaginary world.
Imaginary world.
Imaginary world. Okay.
I couldn't speak English there either.
Okay, so it's nice, interesting. That's what we have to do, really. We have to create that for ourselves, because nobody is going to create it. We are in a casting, we are alone, and so better that you start the scene with the things that you decide to bring in.
There's another interesting thing, which is something I seem to be getting more and more obsessive with these days when I'm working with actors, is that there's no transition between before, during, and after. It's a continuous line. You're not rising into performance. Performance is just something that happens between this point and this point.
He also calls the shots when he's doing this at the beginning. It's a way of also being in control of something. He could stop, but he doesn't want to be the actor that respects action. Or respect silence before action.
Well, no. The other thing is he's doing something that will continue as he steps into the scene.
Exactly. So he's kind of is just to keep into the mind, whatever state he is to keep it in there, which is very interesting, and it's a great lesson for all of us.
I'm not like Da Vinci. I don't paint.
Ridiculous. I don't paint.
Oh, and what do you have to say about the fact that Stark Weapons is responsible
and you see
for
how
millions of
did he share that to the audience? So to the camera, to the directors? He really gave it to us.
Da Vinci. Ridiculous. I don't paint.
Oh, and what do you have to say about the fact that Stark Weapons is responsible for millions of deaths since World War II?
Oh boy, let me guess. Berkeley? Ms.
Miss Summer, and it's Brown.
Okay. Well, listen, Ms. Brown. It's an imperfect world, but it's the only one we've got. I assure you the day weapons are no longer needed to keep the peace. I'll happily transist to manufacturing bricks and beams for baby hospitals, making hemp pants and the like. But until that time, can I get you a drink?
That is nice because it's almost stops in one place which you would never think that would stop in that particular place. So the idea is that he also has another idea, which is the one that says at the end, "Could we have a drink?" So all this kind of imperfection, or the way that he tells this is very interesting, because what he's doing is an effect for the final phrase. Things that think that in English you can do it, because the a lot of times what is important is at the end of the sentence. We have the things more complicated because it's not the same. But anyway,
but this is an interesting thing in
not
terms.
the same, because we don't choose to finish the sentence on the important thing. Okay.
The other thing, sort of thematically, about the character Tony Stark is that his arc is to go from complete irresponsibility and selfishness to taking complete responsibility to everything and absolute sacrifice. And the actual turning point that, for the Marvel fans out there, is of course in Civil War, where he realizes the dangerous power that they all wield, and he decides that even he isn't capable of actually being able to determine what's the right and wrong use with it. And this is a kind of curious thing here, because already we have the glimmer of a person who's settled deep into his irresponsibility.
First that much?
Yeah, every night in front of the mirror before bed. Why, is it stale?
Well, I can picture that.
I could show you firsthand.
Look at
Sorry, I
how
don't laugh
he
at your jokes.
how he
I haven't been
breathes,
paid.
because he's not absolutely relaxed. he's not at all.
No, he's not even slightly
He's
relaxed.
not even slightly relaxed.
He's doing a great imitation of somebody who's relaxed.
He appears, to be relaxed, but he's not.
But what he actually does is he channels that tension, that kind of existential fear that he must have had when he was doing this, because, for obvious reasons, he sort of channels that into it's not quite rage, but it's the discomfort and the righteousness that he has about his father. And he's talking about his father. He's not talking about him, which is an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the DoD fat cats in this place, Mr.
Sorry,
Stark.
stick around. You'll be on payroll soon enough. Call me Tony.
I'm sorry, Tony. I was looking for a more serious answer.
Okay, you're serious. My old man had a philosophy. Peace, by definition, means having a bigger stick than the other guy, so I feed the good dog. We arm the good guys, because you can be sure as shit someone's arming the bad guys.
Nice justification coming from the guy selling the sticks.
You mean my father? My father, who was commended by FDR for working on the Manhattan Project, who helped defeat the Nazis?
Well, others call it war profiteering.
This is a rhetorical question, no need for a response. Tell me, do you plan to run any pictures of all the millions that we've saved by advancing medical technology or kept from starvation with our telecrops? Or are you going to ignore all those advances that were spawned from military funding?
Wow. Wow, you really have all of this down. You ever lose an hour of sleep your whole life?
I gotta tell you, is that thing running? You're never gonna get me in the sack with that attitude. Crudité?
Crudité.
Crudité.
Crazy.
Okay. Done. Done. You're still Buckingham Palace. What do we got? What, I gotta break out the psyops? There it is. There's a smile. It's okay. Yeah, so it's natural. Less muscle.
Right. What I want everybody to understand is that he's speaking to three people or so. They're soldiers. It's interesting when you go back and watch Iron Man. He says let's take a he takes a selfie, but the funny thing is he says, I hope you're not going to put this on your MySpace page. Which really that dates the film more than anything else. I mean, really, it's extraordinary. But what you got here, the important thing to notice here is he's speaking to three people, but he's only sharing the truth with one of them, which is us. Okay, he's relating to us like the silent person sitting at the table. And if there's anything that you need to learn as actors on camera, it's how to speak to a room full of people and know that there's only one place that you can hide what you're really thinking. Right, so let's go a little back. And I want you to be conscious of his consciousness of our observation.
Okay. Done. Done. You're still Buckingham Palace. What do we got? What, I gotta break out the psyops? There it is. There's a smile. It's okay. Yeah, it's natural. Less muscles to smile. Seriously. I gotta hand it to you guys. Every single one of you deserves a medal. I shit you not.
Thank you.
Mr. Stark.
Please call me Tony. I mean, seriously, here you are. You're sweating balls in the desert. You're fighting for our freedom back home. And it's ghastly. The conditions. There's not a woman in sight.
I'm a woman.
Yes. Clearly. Although I retract that statement. I'd like to admit that. God, so I went to kid you back home. I got them in rotation like pitchers. What do you got? What do you got? What's getting you through the cold nights, huh? Don't ask, don't tell.
Jimmy met a goat.
You did.
Hey, at least it's a girl, okay?
You know what? That's jealousy. Can you smell that? At least you're a one-goat man. It's hard to come by.
One goat man.
All kidding aside. There's a lot of us doing well back home. We owe a tremendous amount to your sacrifice. I know I'm just a schmuck in the suit who's going to take off in a helicopter in 20 minutes, but there's not much I can do for you, but I'm going to show you a good time. That's something I'm highly decorated for. I got something special planned for you boys, girls, back at the base.
Great.
But there's one condition. You ready? Will you comply, soldier? Jimmy. Jimmy, you get first dibs on the petting zoo. You like that? Sometimes they don't hit. That's all. I'm out here, I'm shooting. In my own special way.
So what you got there is you got a scene which is effectively improvised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But he's doing it in character. He's playing about as high status as you can get. Okay? He's making people laugh and tell jokes, but there's no reference to any of these being jokes. That's what powerful people do. Which is pretty tough when you're in a situation where you're desperately trying to get a job, but you're having to pretend that you're powerful, and you're effectively in the least powerful position that you could ever possibly be.
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood, which is, please give me the job. Right? Even if you are Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
And what he's doing is he never loses his connection with us.
This thing of wanting and not wanting, or this thing of, the duality that he must have, feel, how it's much easier to do it in a high status than in a low status too, because if you're in a low status, it's too close to reality. So what he adopts is not really an attitude, and we don't have to be mistaken here, because it's very, very easy, to play that as an attitude. He's not in an attitude. He really portrays someone that we believe in it.
There's another thing which is very important about this particular scene, is the subtext of this scene is, oh my God, these are the people who can suffer from the weapons that are being sold. Okay, that's a very clear thing, that when he actually has the injury in the movie that almost kills him, the last thing he sees is a small missile that hasn't gone off yet, that's about to go off, that says Stark Industries on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when he realizes that they're playing both sides against the middle. And there's an element here which is the subtext is that he knows that he's not the equal to the people sitting before him as a human. Because these proud, honest people with integrity go to work every day and do a very difficult job.
Well, he says it in the phrase also. He says it, I'll be out of here in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just the guy in the suit who's going to leave in a helicopter. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the last one here. I'm going to move over here again because we're back to... Right.
So who else knows about this?
Nobody. Well, as always, there's a chance Pepper might know. I probably think, Pepper knows everything.
Yeah, well, this is quite a feat of engineering.
It should be. Real breakthrough is the power supply. Rest just kind of built itself.
I tell you, if you made a couple of these for the military, I can probably make all those problems go away.
Now, Dice, you know if I hand this over 5 years, we'll be fighting against these things.
I fucking disobeyed a direct order.
Oh, is that what I did?
A direct order to keep them from blowing you out of the sky. Next time I may not have that same result.
Maybe next time you scramble F-22s against me, I just might not play defense.
Are you threatening me?
Weapons that I built are being used to kill innocent people. Can't let that happen. It's my problem. I'm gonna take care of it.
God damn it, if you start invading sovereign airspace and waging a personal war, it is my
How
problem.
about the fact that this whole country's about to have a big problem and no one seems to give a shit?
It's complicated.
Is it? Not for me. I can make a choice. I can fight for what's right. Tell me, Rhodey, if you were me, would you sit on the sidelines? Could you live with yourself if you did? I know you. Yeah, that's right. You'd do something about it, too.
It's not up to us to decide.
You heard that, right? That's where you're wrong. I'm gonna get back to work. See yourself out. You remember the door, right?
It's interesting because it's mirada fija all the time.
Yeah, but what he's trying to do, he's trying to work out exactly what the other guy thinks.
Yes, yes.
That he's not backing down. The
Yes.
mirada fija is there going, I'm not turning away. I'm not making a joke about this.
Yeah. It's like a challenge almost.
Yeah, and it's the thing he says about Potts. You know, Potts is going to know about everything. You
Potts meaning everybody knows what is Potts, I think.
Yeah, well, it's Gwyneth Paltrow. You know, the woman who eventually becomes the mother of his child. Spoilers. Yeah,
Okay.
it's absolutely, it's fascinating here because what he has to do is he gets to do the whole movie, the whole character arc, basically in an audition. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think he did it multiple times.
Multiple times.
Yeah, he had multiple auditions.
Oh, poor thing.
Edu Ospina, he makes an observation here, which is there's no blinking going on. Let's have a look to see what happens with there's no blinking. I have this theory, this no blinking theory, that I don't actually think that we blink when something is really, really important to us, or we're in a state of fear, or we're trying to desperately convince somebody. I think sometimes we can do it consciously, not blink, and then sometimes I think we do it accidentally. You, for example, it's one of the problems, for example, with gamers, is that gamers, when they're playing hard, is they won't be blinking, so it results in their eyes getting dry and irritated and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, why is that? Are we deciding not to blink, or are we so intent on not losing any information that we keep our eyes open? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you're like when you play, but you don't blink very much.
No. I suppose for movies.
So let's have a look at the blink count.
Weapons that I built are being used to kill innocent people. Can't let that happen.
1.
It's my problem. I'm gonna take care of it.
God damn it, if you start invading sovereign airspace and waging a personal war, it is my
How
problem.
about the fact that this whole country's about to have a big problem and no one seems to give a shit?
It's complicated.
Is it? Not for me. I can make a choice. I can fight for what's right. Tell me, Rhodey, if you were me, would you sit on the sidelines? Could you live with yourself if you did? I know you. Yeah, that's right. You'd do something about it, too.
It's not up to us to decide.
You heard that, right? That's where you're wrong.
2.
I'll repeat what Steve Rosenblum, the editor of Braveheart, said to me when I asked him for any advice when he was in Dublin, Ireland, when I was shooting a pilot with Hedswick and Marshall Herskovitz, amongst other people, for ABC. I said, do you have any advice for me? Because he'd been editing the stuff that we've been shooting. He said, yeah, I'll give you the same advice I gave to Brad Pitt in Legends of the Fall. I said, what was that? He said, just don't blink. Try not to blink. I mean, obviously you're going to blink, and that's okay. But the thing is, when you blink, I cut. I cut before you blink. Okay? Now, it's a sort of double-edged sword, because I've seen actors and I go, "Are you okay?" And they go, "I'm trying not to blink." And I go,
I know.
All
There's
right.
something wrong.
"Yeah, that's what it is." The thing is that to be so focused on something, and invariably what will happen is you will stop blinking. But if you think not blinking is going to save your ass,
No. It has to be full of things so that this fixed stare, this non-blinking situation is going to be very very attractive to us, because we're on always wonder what is on his mind.
the other thing which is interesting here is this is a good old-fashioned screen test. This has got lighting.
Movements of camera.
It's got makeup. This has got costume. This has got great sound. This has got everything that you could possibly wish for, and it's got very, very well prepared actors who are reading with the guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They really, really went for it. Now, why did they do this? Well, the other thing is they shoot it on film. Because remember, when this film was made, there was no such thing as high-definition digital cameras. They were there.
Yeah.
They were there, but they weren't good enough yet.
Yeah, well, a lot of my tests were also in 35 millimeters, I remember.
Really? And how did that work?
Fine. I love that. Well, but it was not actually casting. It was more like, okay, let's do before the shooting,
Makeup test,
makeup
costume test.
costume, lighting test, and we would just put together a scene and just do it. Which is nice, because it was a way of relaxing, after you signed the contract to work a little bit, but not much, and understand also the work of the others. So and you'd actually feel and hear what the director is telling the. I remember that in Borgia, actually, we did that in Borgia.
Oh yeah, and that was quite spectacular.
Yeah, I remember.
Really beautiful. The test that they did.
Test for the lightning
Yeah.
of the candles.
God, yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we learn here? Is the man was obviously extraordinarily well prepared. He had a very, very clear idea of what he was supposed to be doing. Jean Favreau the director, had been fighting for him all the way through this. And he pretty much figured that there was only one guy for the job.
I'm sure he read the script. You cannot do that if you didn't read the script.
Although the process of the script is very interesting when you hear interviews with Jeff Bridges, who says, "I'd never seen a script where we spend most of our time sitting in the trailers." And he basically said that a lot of it was spent between Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. riffing on how they could make it better. Like coming up with improvisations and doing all those sorts of different things.
Of course.
And that's one of the reasons why...
But that is also what he brings. He brings a freshness that, as a director, you say, wow, if I can get that, it's going to be not only a movie about silly things. It's going to be a movie about very serious and it's going to be also for the people that want only, to be adventure, trip, and also about the psychological things. And that's what I think is the interesting thing in Iron Man.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a movie about people dressed up as robots hitting each other. So how the heck can you make that effective?
Effective, which is make it as more human as possible.
And also they eliminated the big problem with all superhero movies at the end of Iron Man. Spoilers, because he says, "I am Iron Man," and like boom, the franchise was born. It's very, very interesting how this is how this affected not only the lives of everybody who was involved, but also affected film, and it filled a space that was necessary in filmmaking, which had kind of disappeared for a while, which was real mythical filmmaking. It's curious because people ask, why are people so interested in superheroes these days? And I think a great deal of it's got to do with the idea that these are stories of almost in a Greek way of gods, of people with incredible powers, but they suffer from the human frailties, weaknesses, sins, and all their other foibles. So now what I want to do is I want to go to Emilia Clarke, because this is the exact opposite sort of casting, because it's is it's in a casting office and it's not particularly pretty, and but I think it's very interesting what we're going to see from her, given what she becomes over the course of the series, and also the quality that she sort of brings to this here. And anyway, well, let's watch it, and you can tell me what you think, because you don't really know this actress at all. Okay, so here we go.
Oh, what if I should never find someone so incomparably suitable and wealthy?
What if he's suitable, but you don't feel yourself with him?
Dido, he understood me. And whenever he looked at me, I somehow felt right in this world. I am certain his affections were growing for me, and I am certain of my own love.
Oh, Beth, stop it. It is not love.
Dido, you stop it, won't you? You know no more of love than I myself, do you? Do you?
No.
What right do you have to name what I'm feeling than me?
Okay, thoughts?
Well, what she does is she really listens to the other person, or she, appears to be listening. I suppose that because that only we see one take. I like to see the second take myself as a director.
Well, my reflection is she's absolutely adorable.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is my big revelation lately. This is what it is. I'm going to share it with you all here, and you could bottle this and sell this.
Okay, no. You're gonna
write this down?
Write this down for the book. Yes, go ahead.
One of the most attractive and emotive things an actor can do, particularly an actress, is to be hopeful, is to be filled with hope. What it does is that it's its own strange type of bravery. I'll tell you why. Because to be hopeful about something means that you're going to be exposed. But it also means that you're strong enough to deal with the possible negative outcome. So what you have something which is incredibly positive and hopeful, and it makes you immediately likable as a person.
If you are
hopeful.
Hopeful.
We all have those friends that everything's terrible for them and everything's awful and they hate this and they hate that, and they're pretty tough to be around. And then we have these other people who are always hopeful and positive, and they're always looking on the bright side of things. And those are the people that we want to have with us in the foxhole.
Yes.
The one that we want to have with us in the trenches.
Yes.
And here's a great piece of advice to all the actors out there. Be one of those people. Be the person that everybody wants to be around, because it's always good times. Mm-hmm. Okay? That it's always going to be positive. Okay? That they're there. It's not fake. It's real. They're there for us. Okay? And we'll be there for them. But this is the thing that Emilia Clarke does there. Now, this is another interesting thing I want to ask you. Actresses are always asking, what should I wear, Assumpta? Right? And this is an interesting thing here, just to compare it. So, young Emilia, her hair is not particularly done. She's wearing a pair of simple pearl earrings. She has very simple, cara lavada. She's wearing...
Yes, but I mean, her eyebrows are well kept. Her eyes are...
Oh, what if I should never find someone so incomparably suitable?
Are made up, and also the trick of the white against the black gives you also a nice frame to your face.
And wealthy.
She does some things here which are, I think, as actors, you'd profit by learning what they are. And they're not particularly complicated, but a lot of it's got to do with, and I know we have Saskia here. Saskia is probably the first person who really pointed out to me the importance of this, which is the relationship with what we're saying. How do we really feel about the thing that we're saying? Now, sometimes we don't know. We don't have a relationship with it. We're trying to find out what that relationship is. Very often when we tell somebody bad news, we're not quite sure how we feel about that bad news because we haven't processed it yet. We haven't had time. If you've ever had to tell somebody had died or somebody had an accident, you will find yourself in that state where you don't quite know what you feel about it or how to relate to it. It's very, very tricky. Only actors and certain other people think that there's bad news and we immediately burst into tears or we immediately are sad when we tell them. But it's usually not really like that. Sometimes we forget to do that very simple thought exercise where we go, how would I say that? How would I feel about that? What would I think about that? And sometimes the answer is, I don't know. And that's just as valid as actually knowing.
See.
Because that not knowing, that uncertainty, is another thing which is incredibly attractive in acting. When you are not sure.
Yes, we get absolutely fascinated because we want to know more. And we actually spy, It's like we are spies there and we try to understand what that could be.
So there's certain things here I want to highlight which are specifically related to that thing, and it's very impressive. It's very impressive that she does this in an audition, that she does this in a casting, that she's there and she's capable of having this connection with the material that she has. It's going to be pretty abstract. It's sort of vaguely kind of medieval talk. They're not, it's not happening in New York in 1978. It's something which is a little arch, as we call it in English. But she has she's having a relationship with the thing that she's talking about. So.
What if he's suitable, but you don't feel yourself with him?
Dido, he understood me. And whenever he looked at...
Okay, beautiful. What she's doing is she's remembering a moment that she had with him. Okay? But she doesn't, she doesn't go the whole way there. She has to hide it. Mm-hmm. Because if she didn't hide it, she would do that thing that actors do when they go, he's just so wonderful. And they go the whole way there. We don't do that in life. There's a reason we don't do that in life. Is because if we do that, we're a pain in the ass.
Yes, and it's, there is no subtext there. And there she finds a subtext, which is, a little bit of a shame on how she felt at the time. She's completely in love with the man.
Yeah, he's obviously totally the hotness. All right, here we go.
I somehow felt right in this world. I am certain his affections were growing for me, and I am certain of my own love.
Oh, Beth, stop it. It is not love.
Dido, you stop it, won't you? You know no more of love than I myself, do you? Do you?
No.
What right do you have to name what I'm feeling than me?
Great. Wonderful relationship she's got with it. Now, this looks like a different day.
I heard nothing from him since the ball, Dido. I was certain an announcement would be made any day. But he meant it this time.
Well, then he is not a man of his word. I will help you find the kindest, most wonderful of husbands, and I shall ask Papa to use a portion of my inheritance for your dowry.
You would do that for me?
Bet anything for you.
Dido. I have been of the mind state these last few days that it is my little means that has delayed James in making his approach.
Right. One of the things that happens here, and I think this has got a little bit to do with her nervousness and it's got a little bit to do with her forcing it, is that when you start noticing her eyebrows, you can't unnotice them. Because girl's got some eyebrows on her.
Mm-hmm. That's why she groups it so well.
That's why, yeah, probably. And what happens is that people end up doing this because what they're doing is they're trying to change they're trying to change what the other person thinks and feels and their opinion of things through, trying to make them do that through what's happening with their face instead of what's happening with their mind.
Yeah.
This is the place where she actually comes across as slightly green. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? The other one, no, not so much. I would almost certainly think that we're watching this out of order, actually.
Could be.
I think you may be right.
Well, then I cannot thank you enough. Oh, I will tell Papa to write immediately to Lady Ashford.
No.
No?
James Ashford is not kind. He's not a man to give your life or your dowry to.
Then your gift comes with conditions.
No.
What then?
Well, I'm trying to make you see he is not appropriate.
Appropriate? The brother of the man you are to marry is not appropriate for
He
me.
doesn't desire you, Bet. At least even if he does, you would regret such a mistake. He laid his hands on me, Bet, in the most ungentlemanly fashion.
Why should you say such a thing?
The assembly rooms, he hurt me.
You are a liar.
Why would I lie to you?
I don't know. But can't you see? He would never touch you.
Bet?
You are beneath him.
I'm beneath him?
Yes, you are. You...
What? Tell me, what am I, Bet?
You are illegitimate. Have you never wondered why you are not permitted to eat with our guests?
Que fuerte. Right, there's an interesting thing. For those who know Game of Thrones, she kind of goes from being a shrinking violet to an absolutely demonic warrior, dragon riding psychopath. Okay, God love her. Okay, so you're out there, Amanda. Yeah, that's you. One of the things that she shows here is a glimpse of that darkness. Okay, she's allowed to enter into a bit of unreasonable, prejudicial rage, which you don't see in the other one. Now, if you're an actor and you get scenes like this, be very, very happy, because there's scenes that have range, they have scenes that have positions, but there's another thing which is very important here. I'm going to go back a little bit because I want everybody to notice that this is something that a real mistake that I see very often in castings, that the person speaks and then they wait for the other person to speak.
She's all the time on it.
She's all the time in her thing, right? So if we go from, let me just see.
Yeah, that's why, the people, we have to try also in our video books to have scenes where we show that we can listen like she does.
Right, let's watch this.
Because it's more important most of the times than actually.
I cannot thank you enough. Oh, I will tell Papa to write immediately to Lady Ashford.
No.
No?
James Ashford is not kind. He's not a man to give your life or your dowry to.
Then your gift comes with conditions.
No.
What then?
Well, I'm trying to make you see he is not appropriate.
Appropriate? The brother of the man you are to marry is not appropriate for
He
me.
doesn't desire you, Bet. At least even if he does, you would regret such a mistake. He...
Throughout all of this, she's now trying to work something out. Okay, This is the important thing here. She's not listening to the other person, waiting for her cue, waiting for her line that she's supposed to come in on. She's trying to work out a problem right now. She's trying to work out.
She's sharing it with us.
And she's sharing it with us.
It's very, very near the camera where she's looking at.
Okay, so.
laid his hands on me, Bet, in the most ungentlemanly fashion.
Why should you say such a thing?
The assembly rooms, he hurt me.
You are a liar.
Why would I lie to you?
I don't know. But can't you see? He would never touch you.
Bet?
You are beneath him.
I'm beneath him?
Yes, you are. You...
What? Tell me, what am I, Bet?
You are illegitimate. Have you never wondered why you are not permitted to eat with our guests?
Que fuerte, que fuerte, que fuerte.
Okay. Okay, well, let's finish here.
It's
It's 9.
very interesting. So we're gonna have to wait for Breaking Bad.
We have to
We're
wait.
gonna have to break from back.
Bad. Let's do it next.
Yeah, we're gonna do that next week. It's
next week. And
it's-
also we have Aaron Paul, right?
yeah, it's very interesting, Rodrigo, and I'm completely in agreement with him. He says,
Don't you wish you could watch Breaking Bad for the first time again?
absolutely. I had that thought the other day. I was like, oh, do you remember we watched like all 5 seasons in the space of,
Yeah.
and we watched them in the space of like a week.
Yeah.
We were like,
Yeah. But it
maybe
was
if we go
so
back, we
good.
won't remember it. Who else have we got here? Amanda. Hello, Amanda. How the devil are you? Amanda's my advisor in all things Game of Thrones. And Saskia's here, and yeah.
Hello, Saskia.
and
hello,
Eduardo says
Eduardo. And hello,
she got-
Agueda, that you finally
She got the
came.
job despite the eyebrows. Yes, indeed. And Desiree Naranjo, you need to tell me how your shoot went. I know you had an audition, but I don't know if you had a shoot. Desiree had a fantastic session the other day. It was really
nice.
really great. I learned a lot.
A breakthrough?
Yeah, I think so. I think she found out how to make it easier,
good.
which is always wonderful. Look, the reason that we do this is that we have, for the last 20 years, we've been teaching film acting, almost entirely in Spanish. So it's a little curious for me to be talking about these things in English because normally I speak Spanish all the time. And one of the things that we always wanted to do is to create a resource for actors so they could approach their jobs in a more dynamic, competent, and
Easy way.
An easier way. That's another way. Just make it all easier. It doesn't have to be hard.
No.
The thing that we
Or
should
painful.
or painful. The thing that we need to start working with is with ourselves and listening to what it is that we do, we speak, the way we move. And more than anything else, the most important thing that I think I've realized in the last year is the way that we think, and understand that so much of the time in our lives we're attempting to hide what we're thinking, but really the great and most powerful thing that we can do as actors is actually share what we're thinking with that thing over there.
Sharing what we are thinking is much more important than sharing what we are saying. Mic drop.
Wow. Let me just do that.
Let me write it down.
Yeah.
For the
just
book.
write that down. Write that down. Yeah, but what people don't realize is that while we've been doing this, we're constantly working on our book, which is based on the last 20 years and probably at least over 15,000 hours of training that we've done with actors specifically on camera acting, which is normally called Killing Macbeth, The End of Superstition and the Science of Acting. That's the long title for it, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a unifying theory as to how it all works, and we're pretty close right now. And there's a whole range of experiments we still have to do to try and work out how we can improve our memories and how stress is related to memory and related to tasks as actors. Because what we want to do is like over the last 100 years, man has gone from running 100 meters in 16 seconds to running it in under 10. And that's not because people are built differently. That's got to do with the application simply of science, to diet, to training, and to philosophy and the psychology of sport.
We actors should be the athletes.
Yeah, we are the athletes of human experience.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Right, so it's been wonderful to see all of you here tonight. Remember, if this is your first time on YouTube, to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a comment. We respond to all of them. Trust you me, we do. If you're on Facebook right now, remember to follow the page and give us a like. And our intention is to be here every Thursday in English. The rest of the week, we're going to be in Spanish. So if you know a little Spanish or you want to improve it, come by there as well.
Please come.
Yeah, we also have a Patreon. This is we've been doing this for the past year.
If you want to help us and encourage to keep doing that for free, please go to Patreon and see if you can collaborate with us to make that better.
And if not, don't worry. The other thing that we do in our Patreon is we do things, we have private Zooms, which are a little different because what it does is it allows us to do things like, for example, the last time we did it, we compared the documentary The Staircase to Meryl Streep in The Hours to actually find what a real person does compared to what the actor does. I mean, a really good actor and a really good documentary to find the things that they have in common and to analyze both of them and work out how we could use and apply those particular things as well. So
thank you very much.
Oh, and the other thing, we have our webpage, which is familiadecine.com, if you're interested to see what we're doing there. But more than anything else, the best thing you can do is to tell your friends and the other people who might find this interesting. You can always find our videos afterwards. You can find them. They're all in playlists. You can find them on YouTube. Remember this YouTube here. That's the easiest way to find out all the things that we've been doing. And just remember, thank you for that. Hope is good, right?
It's a gem.
That's my takeaway with from analyzing Sandra Bullock. It's my takeaway with so many pieces of acting that are popular.
Even what's the name? Oh my goodness!
You can do it.
Robert, no.
5 minutes later.
George Clooney.
Where George Clooney? Where?
The hopeful thing.
Oh yeah, well the curious thing about George Clooney is he's probably the coolest guy who's ever walked the planet.
Yes, but he tries.
But on film, he's always playing a loser.
Yeah, but the loser with hope, a loser, it's very interesting what he does. Anyway, we love you. Thank you very
individually
much.
And as a group.
As a group, very much.
And
really.
And we're going to say this bit in Spanish. Pues mañana.
Más.
Y mejor. So this is the outro. This is the outro. Normally you have the music here, but this is the outro. This is the after show, as it were. So the other great things that we've managed to pull off is you just finished shooting a movie with a whole bunch of people from La Familia de Cine.
Yeah, I'm 15 or 18.
I don't know, a certain amount of them, which is
28th of June. He's going to be
pretty
there.
Impressive. Kieran Bradley, how the devil are you? Look at you out there. Well, today is episode number 267. We started on the 12th of April, 2020. And
everything is in the youtube.com
Yep.
/Escuela Assumpta Serna.
And if you don't speak Spanish, you're pretty buggered.
No, but there is some of them there in English.
That's true. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're editing together the Zooms that we did last year with Craig Armstrong and Philip Noyce. So we're going to start putting those out in chunks so people can get an opportunity,
that would be great,
which is amazing insights into how one of the world's top film directors, Philip Noyce, who's made massive movies with enormous budgets and worked with everybody from Kenneth Branagh to Angelina Jolie to Denzel Washington to Harrison Ford.
About all of that and more.
Talk about his process and exactly
really
how he works with actors.
And he was really nice. He did 4, almost 5 or 6 hours with us.
Yeah. He ended up. It was very early on in the confinement, so. He ended up giving us a guided tour of his house, which was delightful. We met his whole family. These were just some of the most wonderful things that happened to us when we were all of us stuck at home with nothing else better to do. And that's what we've been doing for the last year.
Sharing and, putting together people that we met, that we liked, and meeting also, a lot of you that for the first time and get to know you, and it had been a very nice ride. Thank you very much to all the Familia de Cine, the 120 odd people that they are there every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
All right. So that's it. I'm going to sign off right now. And as always, onwards
And better.
and upwards. Do you want to try that again?
Okay.
All right. Focus.
No, but I don't know how you call
Upwards.
Upwards.
Onwards and upwards.
Okay.
Do you want me to write down?
No,
I can go. I can put it on the teleprompter.
no, that's
All
okay.
right. As always, onwards.
And upwards.
Amazing.
Upwards. Yes.
Upwards. Upwards.
Yeah, upwards.
Upwards. Onwards.
And upwards.
Can we try it with a little bit of feeling now? Right.
Okay.
5 minutes later.
Okay. Say yourself, Scott,
Okay.
please.
As usual and always, onwards and up.